I have bought the most boring lens available. And before we go into this video, I want to see if we're on the same page here. Let me know in the comments below, before we get any further, what do you think that lens might be? Now, before we reveal the lens, let me go through the logic of this, because it's been a learning curve for me. My camera, not the most conventional. It's a bit of a nightmare to use. It's not very fast. And I had a job coming up, and it was a pretty big job, worldwide usage. Needed some good images. But we needed a lot of images, and some of it was quite fast paced. And this takes a while to focus. Very good optically. Optically, this is so far ahead of anything Canon do, but it's not fast. So this is my 50mm lens. This is one of two lenses I use for work. My other lens being this here, the 90mm version. Again, very sharp. It's designed for a 6x7 sensor. Beautiful image quality. I've shot a whole host of big worldwide campaigns on this lens. It's also my daily sort of grind of a lens. And then if I'm feeling like I want to go handheld, I have the 100mm macro planar, but it's manual focus and it's 100mm. So not ideal. Now, this particular job had a high volume nature to it, as many jobs do at the moment. Don't know why, it seems to be the trend. And a lot of it had to be handheld and shot very quickly. So I purchased this lens and I was really umming and ahhing. I was like, well, do we get a 24-70 and a 70-200? But then I've still got to change lenses or have a third camera body on hand so we don't have to do that. And I can only tether two cameras to my computer, all this palaver. So I bought this, and don't laugh. This is the Sigma 24-105 f4, the Swiss Army knife of lenses, and also the most boring lens. But I think two things. One, I think that's unfair. And the reason I think it's got the boring status to it is because it's f4. But we're done with bokeh. Nobody cares anymore. The 1.2 lenses, the blurry backgrounds, it's done. It's not in. So maybe that's why it got it. But this lens here, it's pretty boring. And what bugs me the most about this lens is when you zoom, it sticks out. I absolutely hate that. I like an internal zoomage, or like the original OG 24-70, or big enough lens cap on the outside so that it hides the zooming. It has a few issues, this lens. One is that the zoom is backwards from Canon. It's Nikon direction zoom. Although, as this is my only zoom lens, I can't actually tell the difference after about 5 seconds of using it. Also, the autofocus ring is here, so it is completely redundant for video because you can't do focus pulling on it. It has some sort of optical stabilization. I don't know. Don't need that. And it has autofocus, which is snappy and fast. I shot this lens at f16, and yes, I know chromatic aberrations, but honestly, nobody cares. I shot at f16 or tethering it through this here. This is not a Tether Tools cable, by the way. This is a old Area 51 cable. Very good, very fast, very reliable. And it was brilliant. It had a weird color cast. Don't know why, but it was brilliant. And I could not tell the difference on a full view as to whether it was shot with this lens or my fancy lens. Keep in mind, I could buy 4 of these to one of my Zeiss lenses. Or it's the same price as a very old manual focus lens I use as well. But it is a cheap lens, and I couldn't tell the difference until I zoomed into 100%, and then it was marginally not as sharp. But we're making the assumption here that sharp is better. As an ex-portrait photographer, I know that sharp is not better, and if anything, we often had to reduce the sharpness. But in my particular line of work, sharpness, it does hold some weight, and more so than sharpness, detail. So what I've learnt here, and what I want to pass on to you lot, is that, yes, this is a really cool, sexy camera lens combination. It does some really great stuff, and you can do some cool, like, ooh, look at this. But this gets the job done. I was going to return it after the shoot, but I'm going to keep it because it gets the job done. Yes, I can't do tilt and swing and all the rest of it, but not every shot needs that. If I'm not shooting at a 45-degree angle or across a plane, if I'm just going straight on or a top down, this does the job. It's much easier to be able to do this than focus it from the computer on a flat lay when it's all up in the air. It's a really good bit of kit. And what it really nailed home to me, and I harp on about this all the time, but sometimes I don't truly believe it, is that the lens doesn't matter. the most boring lens in the world, and I shot some banging images on it. I can't share them on here because of the commercial nature to them, but if you head over to my website, I bet you can't spot the images shot on this lens compared to shot on those, or even ones that have been shot on extremely expensive large format digital lenses or the Phase 1 Blue Ring lens lineup. I bet you can't tell which are which. Very pleased with this lens. If I had to start again, if my studio got burned down, if I lost all of my equipment, when I got the insurance payout, maybe I won't buy all of it back again. Maybe I'll just get this lens and a 5 DSR, because what here, £1,500 setup, and I'm shooting at a day rate that a few years ago I could only dream of. So yeah, kit doesn't matter. Living proof.